Ready?
Good morning,
Good.
Service Alliance community.
Good morning, Mike and the Alliance. What's happening?
How you doing, Shayna?
I'm wonderful. It is Thursday. The sun is coming out. I think it's not going to snow today, so today's an amazing day.
It feels like forever since I've been on with you.
It's been a little while.
Yeah. And Jason's already chiming in. Morning, Jason.
Good
So,
morning.
today we're talking about marketing smarter, not harder. Creative ways to get your name out there. When every dollar counts, how do you make your marketing work harder for you?
Mm-hmm.
We're
And
going
I
to be
think we got
diving into some good strategies today.
I was just gonna say we got some good content. I'm super excited. I'm not a huge marketer. You know, Jason's our marketer around here. He always has been, even when we had the service company. But I do know a few things.
I think you know more than you give yourself credit for.
Very possibly.
All right, we got some people starting to come in a little bit. Not many. Maybe nobody wanted to listen to us this morning.
It's a sleepy Thursday.
Everybody shows up for me and Jason on
Oh,
Tuesdays.
today? We
I see
normally
how
have a
it
very
is.
large crowd, so we'll see how this goes
Yeah,
today.
you do. All right. So let's dive right into it. If you are joining us for the first time, here's how we do things. We open every episode in prayer, and then we go over a Bible verse that ties in with our topic somehow. And then we jump into our content. So today we're going to dive into some strategies to help your appliance repair company market effectively without spending a fortune. So let's open us up in prayer and we'll get going.
Sounds
Dear
good.
Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunities that you've provided us. Thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed, and thank you for the people that we have in our lives and that we can go out and make a difference in theirs. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right. You got a verse for us?
I do. I have decided to talk on anxiety today because, like Mike and I were talking earlier, but I've seen it all over Facebook that there's a some Google stuff happening this week. So, and that's causing a lot of anxiety. So I thought anxiety would be a good scripture to read on. Um, in Psalms 3:3, it says, Lord, you are my shield, my wonderful God who gives me courage. I can lie down and go to sleep, and I will wake up because the Lord gives me strength. Thousands of troops may surround me, but I am not afraid. So when anxious thoughts begin to stir in your mind, pray, Father, I want to be disciplined to hand over my concerns to you right away. You are my strength and my shield. You give me the courage to face what needs to be done, and you also carry my burdens for me, even when things are desperate. I trust you with it all. There you go.
Amen to that. You know, it's easier said than done.
It, what? What? You can't just say here, take it, God, and let it go?
I mean, God gave us all the answers, right? He tells us what to do and what not to do. And here we go, and we don't do it. We don't listen.
Mm,
I don't know how to overcome that. I mean, I've been trying for half a decade to learn how to listen to God, and it's tough. So, if you're out there and you're
yeah.
not listening, you are not alone.
Well, and then, God talks to us in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So many different ways. My biggest has been, and I feel like this is how God talks to us the most, is when I was a child, there was a commercial, and I've heard it redone many, many times. There was a commercial on a Christian radio station. There was a guy that his area had flooded, and he was sitting on top of his roof, and he's praying out, Lord, Lord, save me, come help me. And someone with a boat passes by, says, you want to ride? And he's like, no, 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 I'm waiting. God's going to send somebody. Don't worry about me. And then a little bit later, like a helicopter comes by, and he's like, no, no, Lord, it's okay. No, it's okay because the Lord's going to save me. God's got this. And then I think something else passed by, but then he ends up dying because the waters just kept on rising. And he gets up to heaven and he says, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I gave you lifeboats. I gave you a helicopter and you chose not to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what he wanted. It was not the way that he wanted the answer to come. So
Exactly.
that has stuck with me since a child. And it's really true in a lot of our situations. There are answers out there, but are we actually truly listening and taking advantage of what God has given us? So,
It's hard
anyways,
sometimes. I mean, it's hard to listen to messages. It's hard to listen to. It's hard to understand because as simple as everything is, it's we overcomplicate everything. People overcomplicate things, and
yeah,
they just don't know how to simply listen. And you know, things are not that hard to figure out in life, but people have a hard time with life, and people we this is a good intro into what we're going to talk about here. Um, Dealing with people is hard, right? And we had our Bible study on Tuesday night, and everybody was over, and I prepared, and I said, with Valentine's Day coming up this week on Friday, I wanted, I thought that I would do an outline about God's love for us. And included in that was us loving other people. Well, we only got through half the study because all we could talk about is, how hard other people are to love sometimes and how challenging it is with all the different views that we have and all the different things that we selfishly want, and it just makes it really hard, right? And but that's us making it harder. It's not God making it harder. So we make we overcomplicate things. We make things difficult. We stand in our own way every single day,
Every day.
every day. And I think we do the same thing when it comes to marketing and trying to figure all this out, right?
Mhm.
So there's let's get into this topic.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that there's a magic bullet in marketing, and nobody wants to actually look at all the different ways that you can market. Marketing is such a multifaceted thing, right? Um, like when you guys market, I know Jason does a lot of it, but when you guys are doing marketing, where are you marketing? Where, like, you're marketing to multiple audiences on multiple channels.
In
And if you
multiple
looked at all
areas.
of that, yeah, if you looked at all of that, everything that you do as a whole, it's like, wow, we're doing a lot. We're the in-person events, the online stuff. It's the word of mouth. It's all encompassing. So 73% of successful marketers use multi-channel approaches, and that allows you to have more diverse strategies. And because people themselves complicate things, we we don't all look at things as in the same way. So you can't approach people in the same way. You might have one preference where I have another. All right. So why every business needs a marketing budget, even a small one. All right. I want to take this one over,
Okay, go for
Shayna.
it.
All right, because I am currently in the process of creating a webinar workshop that touches on this very thing. And a lot of people don't know how to actually set a goal of how they can go from where they are now to where they want to be financially. And then how to plan that budget out, and how to get from point A to point B, or to point D, but you got to get to B and C first.
Mhm.
So a lot of people, they just shotgun it, but they don't actually plan out. I need to spend this amount. I'm spending this amount right now, and this is where I'm at. But then if they want to go to the next level up, obviously it's going to cause you to naturally spend more money to do more things, whether they're free or not. You have to you got to pay the price regardless. And that price might be free, as in sweat equity and learning things
Yeah.
and spending a lot of time doing it. But if you don't, you're not going to move forward. You can't do the same things that got you here if you want to go there.
Yeah. Very good.
So how have you guys looked at things on your end in your business, whether it's service business or my office help? How have you looked at that and said, this is we want to grow. We want to add new trucks. We want to add new people. We want a company of this size. When you're thinking like that, how are you approaching that on your end? What's been the conversation and planning on your end?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us now, we are in a smaller, more rural area than, we're not in a big city. Our biggest thought was as far as a service company is that we wanted to make ourselves seen in the community. And so a lot of those events were free. There were some that had low cost, but that was our primary focus is getting out in the community. The Chamber of Commerce's, we were in 4 or 5 of them at one time. The being in every single parade that we could be in. Um, Always trying to make it fun, having a float, having our team on there. We had a mascot. We threw out candy. We did have one parade that you had to pay to be part in. We did do that one as well. Um, but that was our biggest was how do we get out in that community? How do we show our face? Maybe they don't need they have an electrical issue at this time. When they do, I want them to remember me. I want them to remember me being in the parade or me being on the doing the trunk or treats or me being just even driving our vans around. We were huge on, and that was a good free one for us, is we found parking lots that we could leave our vans in on the weekends. They didn't cost us anything. Friends of ours that owned parking lots and they didn't use it in the weekend and they let us park our vehicles there over the weekend. So it was always about what can we do in the community or even those, like I said, free things just to put our name out there so that when they did need us, we would be there.
Yeah, I love that you said you're parking your vehicle where it can be seen,
Hmm.
because I mean that's your billboard. It's your mobile billboard.
Yeah.
And you guys even have a My Office Help van that's wrapped. And that needs to be seen when
Yeah.
someone, this is why vehicle lettering and wraps are so important,
And
and
one of the
why
cheapest
branding.
advertising.
Yeah, I mean your branding needs to stand out. Like what's going to make you stand out in your colors and your logo and your just the overall design of everything. What's going to grab someone's attention as they're driving in traffic and your service vehicles in a Home Depot parking lot parked up near the road? What's going to make that stand out the
Yeah.
most, right?
Yep.
You're on the weekends, you're taking a trip to Home Depot, take your service vehicle and park it out next to the road and make it seen. Put it somewhere
Yeah.
prominent to where other people in that parking lot are going to see it.
Yeah.
You know, things of that nature. So a lot of people don't really think of that. And I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Um I think you're missing a lot of opportunity when it comes to your vehicle. You know,
Yeah.
I see so many service vehicles that I don't even realize are service vehicles because you can't even read the lettering on them. You know, it's like I looked at one drove by and it wasn't driving by fast the other day. And I looked and I'm like, "Oh, I wonder what kind of work they do." I couldn't even read the name of the company on the logo, and it was literally on the street next to me driving by, and I had a really hard time on this white van reading what type of service they did, and I still don't know what it was, and I could read the name of the company, but even the name of the company did not portray what they did. Like it made no sense, and it left me guessing. And I'm like, see, that's I wish I had my phone out so I could take a picture of that because it was the perfect example of what not to do.
Yeah. What so a good wrap will probably should cost you 3,000 to 6,000 on average, right? Depends on the size of the vehicle that you have, depends on the brand of quality of wrap that you get. We never spared expense on the quality of wrap because I wanted them to last years because I've seen wraps look trash after a year. Um, but when you think of it that way, it's a huge upfront investment. But once you do it, it's there. It's there for a year, there for 4 or 5 years if you get a good wrap, or longer if you have a good wrap on there. And so it really truly is one of the cheapest advertising that you can do. It's a big chunk up front, but it will make your business. It really will. And Jason was huge about placement. We go to a restaurant and he didn't pull in between two big vehicles. He may park at the end so that anybody driving into the parking lot could see it. Or if it was on a main road, anybody driving past on the main road could see it. Like sometimes we had to walk a little bit farther, but it was okay because our whole point of it was letting it be seen. Um, we don't advertise a lot in our area, but I was sort of got a good chuckle out of this. Last year, I was yard selling in another town, another probably about 15 miles from here, 20 miles. I don't know. I'm horrible at distance, but I was in my office out van, and a lady walks up to me at the yard sale and she goes, "I've heard of your company before. What do you do?" And I started telling, she goes, "That's right. I've seen your company around. I know it's been all over Facebook and I've seen it. I'm going to send people your way that I know need work." And I'm like, there you go. She saw my van and she put the two and two together. And that's what it's all about. She'll never use my service. She doesn't have a service company, but she does. She sees it because our whole point in our area is to get team members. That's our whole point in our area. And it did its job.
Yeah, but it still makes you an attractive company to work for.
It
You
does.
know,
Well, and then we take them
being
anytime
known,
we're
and
driving.
we should all be attracting employees.
Yep. Anytime we drive to an event, we take that van. So, and we've taken people in the van different places throughout the event as well, to a restaurant or whatever it may be. So
Yeah,
it's,
you don't just market to customers. You're marketing to potential employees that are working
hmm
for your competitors right now, or just have other jobs, and they could be
hmm
A game employers or
yeah,
employees, and those are the ones you want. You want to be the one that's attractive to come to work for. They may be in a job to where they're looking at their company and they're like, oh man, our vans don't stand out like that one. Like that company's really got their act together.
yeah.
Even though it could be a hot mess on the inside, right?
Not if
Appearance is
it's
everything.
Jason's.
Yeah, like appearance is everything, right? So, um, you could still be attracting people by having a nice presence,
Yeah,
that want to come to work for you, or want to work for a company that appears to have it all together, right? um so even if you don't have it all together 100% or even 90%, you're still doing a better job than the other guy, so look at it that way.
yeah.
um since you mentioned referrals, let's talk about that.
Hmm.
What ideas did you do, or have you done or currently doing, that are just attracting, word of mouth? Like, did you ever run contests? Did you, do $20 off your next service or whatever it may be? um how did you incentivize and promote others to promote you?
Yep. So with the service company, we did have referral. So it's a coupon that you can give to someone and you could use yourself as well. We didn't get a whole lot of those back, but we did get some back. It definitely paid for the cards that we put it on. So it was a card, which of course I know, and I know Jason's talked about it. We had actual folders for every customer. We had magnets that went on their breaker box. We had stickers that went on the breaker box, and magnets that they could put on their fridge. But inside of their folder would be a coupon for them to give to somebody. And I don't remember, it was probably like 20 or $25 off. They could have off, and then the people they refer could have off, and then they could also have it off once they referred and the customer used us. So um, really getting incentives wasn't as much. I mean, we were huge referrals, repeat and referrals, always especially before Google came out, but it made up 65% of our company was repeats and referrals. Um, the biggest thing with referrals is just having that clean van, having the clean uniforms, having the clean talking technician presentation is what built up that part of our business for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
And it's
A
part
lot
of
of us
marketing.
focus so much on the online end of it, but there's so many people that will never ever see you online. So many people. And the only way that they're ever going to know about you is by that referral. Now,
Yeah.
that could be just a simple mention. It could be passing a business card along. How many of you give your customers a business card and say, here's my card? But why aren't you giving them 3 or 4 or 5 cards? Here, pass these out to people you know. We'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get our name out there more. You'd be surprised at how many people would actually do that. And even if 50% of them all went in the garbage, you still got 50% that are passing out a few other ones. Or having that coupon, like you mentioned, a physical coupon that you can hand to a customer to hand specifically for the purpose of handing it to someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, they might leave that on their counter, and then somebody may come over, a family member or a friend might come over, and they might glance over and they may see it, and that's the first time that anyone has ever seen anything about you. And if your branding is not on that and standing out, just like your van, in the, like I mentioned earlier, in the Home Depot parking lot, um, if your van and your logo and your branding as a whole is not portrayed on every single thing that you do and consistent, then you won't stand out. So you
Yeah.
need to make all of those things connect so the customers can make the connections when they do see your van out on the road. And how many times have you, maybe you see a company and you didn't know about this company before, and then you start driving around town, and then all of a sudden you notice their service vehicle, or you notice something. It's like, oh, I bought this car in this color. I didn't realize how many of them were on the road until I bought them.
Hmm.
Because that's when you start paying attention, and your brain just starts noticing things. So you need to trigger those thoughts and the memories of your brand, um, in everything that you do.
Well, and there is so many times, like even when we had one or two trucks, which was the majority of our time, we did have more, but the majority of the time we only had one or two trucks. But the more we noticed that we branded and got out in the community and parked where we needed to park, um, the more people would say, I see your trucks everywhere. They're all over the place. You've got, how many technicians do you have? You have to have a ton of them. No, we have one or two technicians. That's it. But people literally saw us everywhere because, like you said, they notice it once and it's on their mind and they notice it over and over and over.
Absolutely. So that's the offline aspect. So now let's talk real quick about some online stuff. And I know
Yeah.
Jason and I covered a lot of things like that, but um, you can go back and look at Tuesdays for a lot of this. But I think one thing that's important, um, is to track what you're doing. Okay, there are so many people that come to me that they're overspending like crazy on ineffective ads. They're just dumping a lot of money into ads, but they're spinning their wheels, or they're getting low ROI. They might be getting some, but they're getting very low ROI.
Mhm.
And Zach is going to be even talking about this Saturday in our low social and low cost marketing. So this is a good segue into what he's going to be going really deep in on a much longer, bigger scale than what we can cover here. in our mastermind. But if a lot of people ignore their online presence, they don't realize how much that end of things fix your brand messaging, your tone of voice, your brand voice. How many of you have actually put something together that are that actually is your brand voice and tone, like actually documented it and said this is what all of our messaging all the way across from our website to our printed material to anything that we put out there online and offline, this is what it has to be. It has to be in line with this. I know you guys do that.
Hmm.
I've done it. Um, I've taken pointers that I've learned from you on this, and a lot of others, right? And it works.
Hmm.
And that comes down even to your integrity and your value statements.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are really good. You put that out there at all the trade shows, and I think that's wonderful because when you walk around those trade show booths, how many other people have their value statements presented prominently? You guys are the only ones that have done that I've noticed. Um,
Now I'm going to be looking.
yeah, I haven't seen that. I noticed it in your booth because I haven't seen that before. So I started paying attention to it, and
Hmm.
I haven't seen any other booth do it in any show that I've ever been to. And that was one thing that made your booth stand out above others. That differentiated you. So that's an example of your branding and your marketing and your message getting put out there that no one else is doing. And here you didn't even realize that you were doing that and it differentiated you. See, and I thought you were doing it on purpose.
Well, I'm not the marketer. Remember we talked about that? No, I mean, I knew that it was there, but it didn't even dawn on me that nobody else did that. And that's something like, so we push that everywhere. Like that's part of our entire culture here is our values. But I send out proposals. It's in my proposal even. Like it is a piece of us. It's a part that we live and we breathe by. But even like with service companies, you could do the same thing. Make sure that it's everywhere. Make sure it's put at the very top of your social media. Make sure that it is when you do a TikTok, and yes, I think everybody should be doing TikToks. Um, we haven't done one for a while around here, but they are fun. They're very engaging, and they do actually grab attention to people that own appliances. Um, but even when you do a TikTok, how is your core values showing up in that TikTok? Because you don't have to necessarily even say the core value every single time, as long as what you're doing portrays that core value. But it doesn't hurt to put it in there too. Um, you have a team members that shows one of your core values. Go ahead and promote that team member using that core value. This is why Sam is a great team member, because she portrays this core value in her life and her work here. So, um, yeah. So pushing that is huge. Having them
Yeah.
and then pushing them.
I think expressing yourself of who you are as a company, right? But not just as a company, you're a group of individuals. If
Hmm.
if you're running multiple trucks, your CSR, even if you're a one man show, if you got a CSR, um, you have other individuals that are a part of your life and your business, right? Um, even if you're outsourcing to say my office help, they're part of your team. Showcase some of that, and showcase some personality in your business. I think that's where so many people miss the boat is they just have no personality. and there's people don't want to work or hire. They don't want to work for or hire a company that is just average.
Hmm.
Because if you're average, you're I mean, average is such a plain word, right?
Yeah.
You're just meh. And who wants to just be meh? So,
I don't want
all
to be
right.
man.
All right, let's move on. So, how do you actually start going about this? Um, Go ahead and the before you do anything, you got to know how to approach it. Like I said, plan things out. A lot of people fail to plan, and failing to plan is a surefire way to not be successful in something. So if you have a target that you want to hit, reverse engineer that and say, okay, if I were already at that target, how do I retroactively go back and figure out the steps that would have gotten me there? And then you start making your plan. And then you track each step of the way. You have to track that journey. You have to track your ROI. You have to track
Hmm.
your spending. You have to track which channels are actually producing, because you can't know that ahead of time unless you test. And if you
Hmm.
don't have tracking data to figure out what channels are bringing you the most ROI, it's you could do 100 things, but only 20 of those things are going to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And you are going to need to eliminate 80% of what you're doing, or focus on that very, very little, and focus 100% of your efforts on the 20% that moves the needle, right? But if
And,
you're starting out, you may not know what that is, but you have to track it.
yeah. And we did two different types of tracking as well when it came to our service company. We did the number of calls that came in, number of jobs that came in from the marketing, and the revenue that came in from from the marketing. And one of the things and we did it we tracked it by county as well, so we could actually see even what counties we want to push in. And you could actually see a huge difference in our more um, higher income counties versus our lower income counties. And there were times that we had more calls in the lower income counties, but the average ticket was also much lower. And it was like, of course, this was back in phone book days, but it can be done with all these other marketing. I had a sales rep. Our sales rep would come to us every single year. And after I tracked my numbers for 2 years and I put my numbers out, I knew she was coming. I put my numbers out and she looked at me and she said, "You're the very first person I've ever said this to. You're paying too much in this phone book." And I'm like, yeah, but I had the numbers to justify whether I was paying too much or not enough in the different phone books and in the different areas, because I had proof. I tracked it. So tracking is huge. Don't just rely on whether it is good or not. Now, some marketing is top of mind awareness. You won't, the likelihood someone comes and says, "I see you in the parade. I saw you in the parade," is a lot smaller. They may have originally seen you in the parade. They may have originally seen your van in a parking lot. But a lot of those people say, "I found you on Google," right? So some of those marketings are a little bit harder to track, but your main ones are easy to track.
Yeah, but if you ask enough people, you can gather enough data, right? So
Hmm.
it you mentioned that you tracked revenue, but did you track profit?
Hmm.
Because there's a huge difference between revenue and profit. You could have one channel that's giving you, you know, 1,000 leads a month, and it leads to very, very low quality customers that just give you a very, very low profit. And
Yeah.
that channel may appear to bring you in the most revenue. But over time, that revenue does not equate to profit.
Yeah.
So would you rather, focus on, say, a 20-30% profit from one channel, and another channel is giving you 20-30% profit, but you have twice as many service calls to do, but maybe in reality, 20-30% of your revenue is coming from each of these two channels, and one of them gives you double the amount of leads, but the revenue is over, half of what the other channel is. Why wouldn't you focus on building up the other channel that gives you better quality leads, gives you the same amount of revenue or more, and your profit is much higher? And the people are probably going to be easier to deal with. And there's a reason that profit is higher on certain jobs or
Yeah.
certain demographics or lead sources, right?
Well, and a good example of that is warranty versus COD as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
warranty companies are good for filling in the blanks when you're slow or where you're trying to get your feet, get the COD built, but it should never take the place of a COD job.
Exactly. That's is an exact perfect example. If you were looking at COD versus warranty, your warranty will always be a lot lower profit, even though you may get a lot more leads coming through and a lot more service calls. The thing about that channel, though, is you can turn those into CODs with, I can usually everybody's got 5 to 7 appliances that you can work on, right? In most general households. So even though their refrigerator may be under warranty, their stove and their dishwasher and their washer and dryer aren't. So depending on what you're there for with the warranty, you can always upsell. You can always push to inspect some other items. You can always increase. And you turn that customer into a COD customer in other ways. So, you know, I think the third party warranty companies and the manufacturer, relationships that you may have, I see everybody kind of bashing a lot of these, but it just makes sense to do that so that you can build your customer base and make it as large as you possibly can. And even once you get that large COD customer base, I still think that you probably should use warranty, especially in the slow time. You should never
Hmm.
turn that channel off and use that because it can fill some gaps, and it just gives you more opportunity to get in front of more people. And you're gonna a lot of times people look at the warranty companies like, oh, we're doing everything so cheap for them, but you don't have to spend a dime on marketing for that lead that they just gave you. So if you look at what you would spend to obtain a customer in any other channel, then take that off of what you're actually doing for your COD customers. The money is probably fairly in the ballpark, right? Or it could be. But you just gained a customer and you took that away from somebody else who wasn't a part of that warranty company and a part of their program. So don't count out those warranty jobs 100%. I think you need them to fill those gaps and holes in the slow time, and they will help you. Andrew's asking, what's the optimal ROI? That's impossible to answer because every channel is going to be different. There's no such thing as an optimal ROI. The optimal ROI is the ROI that works best for your company and your situation. ROI is going to be different for every company because every company's market is different, every company size is different, every company's expenditures are different. Their budgets are going to be different. So you could look at a one man show doing 100 grand a year. He's going to have a much lower ROI than $1 million plus company that's spending the same exact percentage of their overall in revenue on marketing. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a question that's way too generic to even answer because of so many different scenarios. Saul says going to a big box store in your market and asking the sales guy what brands are selling most for the last 30 to 90 days and pushing ads within a 20-25 mile radius. That's a good tip. So I I think Saul brings up a good point. You need to know your market. You need to know what people are buying. You need to know what these big box stores are selling. Um, those big box stores are not just selling things because they may have a deal with Whirlpool. They're putting products in their store that are movers. They're not putting things just because of a relationship with the manufacturer. They're
Mhm.
strategic, and those people have massive marketing teams with massive budgets, with massive amounts of data to analyze about all their customers and each demographic, as well as each location that they have. I mean, you got to look at those big box store brands um, and what they're doing because they're going to tell you what the market is actually demanding because they've done the research. They're not stupid. They've been in business. That's why they're $1 billion companies. So pay attention to those, and you can learn a whole lot from those. All right. Andrew says, okay, thanks. I've always considered 3 to 4x acceptable, and above that, great. I guess it's impossible to put expectations on investment. It is because every marketing channel that you do is going to have a massively different ROI.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen just different ad campaigns having massive ROI versus something more organic. Like say doing Facebook posts or going into groups. So every different channel is going to have a different ROI, and when you finally look at that combined, you're never going to get 100% accurate data. That is
Yeah.
impossible. I don't care how good somebody says they are at collecting data and putting it all together in a nice spreadsheet and report. It is absolutely impossible to have 100%. However, if you can get 80% there, it gives you a really good general idea. And if you track it the same way over time and don't change that, you can see your progress. You can see your ups and downs and how consistent you've been with different things. So I think those peaks and valleys will tell you a lot. Um, but sometimes you need to look at everything as a whole, but then you got to look at everything broken down to know where your efforts are going to be the most fruitful.
Yep.
So, all right, any closing thoughts before we
Mm.
go?
No, I mean, I think my biggest thing is just be open mind. Um, ask in the community, like if something comes up and you're not 100% sure if you should invest in that kind of marketing, ask in the community because I guarantee you someone in this community has done something that you are considering doing. If you're going to get your vans wrapped, ask in the community. Now, be prepared for people to tell you that the van wrap sucks because that does happen. You have a marketer put it together. They think it looks great, but actually it does not. It happens quite often. Um, but come to the community, ask. And then also remember that some marketing is more of a top of mind awareness versus actually bringing in and actually seeing the dollars from it. You can dig in a little bit farther. Jason always did that to try to dig in a little bit farther. Okay, so you got us from Google, but did you hear about us before that, right? So you could do that. Um, but just remember that, like, there's a point to everything. There is bad marketing though. Um, so be prepared that if you spend the money, know that not all of it is always good and profitable.
Yeah.
So just
I'm
my
going to
thoughts.
bring up a comment from Andrew again. Why budget or track if there's no expectation? Seems impossible. Why even try? Why care at all? I'll tell you why. You don't have to have an expectation to try something. If you don't try something, you won't know if it works or not. Okay, it's called testing the market. It's testing the channel. And if you don't test it and test variations, you cannot go into, say, I'm going to try Facebook ads and see if it works, or I'm going to try Google ads or LSA ads, whatever it may be. I'm going to try this social media thing going into groups. If you don't track it to find out, okay, is it fruitful or not? Is what I'm doing effective? But it's not just that. Is focus on one thing. So say you're going to do Facebook ads, for example, and you're tracking the ROI, okay? But then it's you have to A/B test different scenarios in each channel. So if you're going to you can't just run Facebook ads and if they don't work out, your ROI is low or your lead quality is crap. You can't just give up on it and say Facebook ads just doesn't work. I think that's a bunch of BS. Facebook ads brings billions of dollars to that company every single year. They work. You just didn't may not have done it properly, okay?
Mhm.
Or maybe you're sending the wrong message. Or maybe you formatted something different. Your targeting could have been off. You have to tweak and test things constantly. You have to try
Mhm.
different things side by side until you know what works best on that marketing channel. Okay. And your messaging going into Facebook groups and talking to different people, your messaging may suck and you may not be getting any results from it. Tweak your message, try something different until you find something that works. There's something that works in every single thing that you can do. You
Yep.
just need to find how to get there.
Yep.
And if you don't start using your brain and start thinking about what can I do differently, it's that definition of insanity. Doing the same thing gets you the same results. If you want different results, try some other things and then make a determination if that channel sucks for your efforts, okay?
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of consistency for you to even track any of that. So there's no such thing as an overnight success in anything that you do. Period. It could take you a year before you start to really figure this all
Yeah.
out in multiple ways. So um, that's why you should try. That's why you should care at all, and you should have an expectation of success. Otherwise, why do it? If you have no expectation of success, you shouldn't even be in business at all. So you can learn from others that have gone before you and gone through this. That's the faster way to get from point A to point B, C, or D. But regardless, that's the process. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to jump off here. I've got another meeting I have to get into here in a few minutes. So, any other closing thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I just hope everybody goes out and has a prosperous day. And yeah, show the love of God to people around you in your life.
Absolutely. Like, subscribe, and share if you're watching this video now or later. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.